Hi, welcome to your daily live online interactive hands-on applied Excel training session 1, which is a free recorded session. There are 17 sessions in all from foundation, intermediate, advanced to Excel dashboard level. Certificate will be issued upon completion. My name is Stephen Damteyeboa, and I'll be your instructor for this session. I have been teaching MX Excel since December 2001 and providing Excel VBA-based software and report automation solutions to organizations in many countries, including Ghana, Nigeria, the Gambia, Liberia, Germany, United Kingdom, and America. To date, about 6,000 people have been trained under the Applied Excel training program. Flexible, live, online, interactive, hands-on corporate applied Excel training sessions are also available. Now, let's get started. Now, on this sheet, we'll be looking at the sum function, the SUMIF function, multiple summation, and conditional formatting, including an array formula. Now, when you are to sum figures in a column, for example, if you have these figures under this quantity column, you want to sum them up into this cell. You don't need to first select the figures before doing the summation. You simply have to be in the cell where the total is to be, and under the auto sum in the editing group, you see the auto sum symbol. So if you click on it, it will suggest some figures at the top for you. If the range is correct, you press enter to accept it. Okay. Now, and also, assuming you wanted to sum just some of the figures based on a condition into this cell. So let's say you wanted to sum figures that are greater than 30. Okay, you want them to be in this cell. You can use a conditional sum. So to look for a function in Excel is basically like doing an online search, just that you start with an equal sign. So we type equal sign, type sum, and you see in the drop down SUMIF, which is a conditional sum. So pick it up by double clicking on it. It is asking for a range, criteria, and sum range. Now, the sum range is optional in this case because of the square brackets we see, okay, around it. Now, what it means that sometimes the range serves as the sum range. In this case, we have just one column with figures, and the same column is where we do the evaluation and pick up those above 30, and the same column where we do the summation. So we will ignore the sum range requirement. So the range, the figures are here. So we select the figures, and then our comma comes. The next thing is the criteria, that is the condition. The condition is in this cell, greater than 30. And that is all. As I said, we ignore the sum range because it's the same as the range. We enter and we get our result. Now, the same sum can be used to do multiplication and summation at the same time. So, for example, if we were to multiply quantity by price and get amount for all these salespersons, and then afterwards you sum up the total amount. Now we can go this process. However, when we finish, we can also do the same thing in one cell using the sum function. So right here, type equal sign, quantity times price. Enter. Then when we drag it down, it works for all the other names. Then right here, we can bring our auto sum. Now, AutoSum has a shortcut. That is it. It is alt equal sign. If I don't want to go and click on AutoSum at the top, I'll simply do alt equal sign. And if the range is correct, I enter to accept it. Now, the same thing can be done in a single cell, for example, in this cell. So I bring my AutoSum, which is alt equal sign. This time I'm multiplying the ranges, okay, not individual cells. So I pick the quantity range, or you can say the quantity array, okay, times the unit price range. So you see, we didn't have to specify the individual cells and multiply them and add them. We are multiplying the ranges or the arrays. This type of formula is called an array formula, and we don't enter by just pressing enter. We use Control Shift Enter. So we do Control Shift Enter, and you see that we have the same result as the other one. Now, the same sum function can be used to do multiple summation. Earlier on, I mentioned that when you are adding up figures in a column, you don't need to select the figures first. Because imagine having figures in about 1,000 cells in a column. If you have to select all before you sum, that can be tedious. However, if the figures are in a table like we have here, where you want to know total for January, February, March, Q1, and then the totals here also for the various regions. Then in this case, you want to have all the totals being done at the same time. So you need to select the figures. So we select the figures this way, and we include where the totals are going. And you could either click on the AutoSum or use the shortcut. For example, if I do alt equal sign, I get my totals coming. All right. Then also, we can use conditional formatting to give an indication of which figures are the highest. Talking about the figures within. These are the independent variables. Just at a glance, if you want to know which one is the highest, followed by the next highest, and so on, you can use conditional formatting to do that. So having selected it this way, go under the Home tab, and then we see conditional formatting. We click on it. Now, there are various rules here. We deal with this topic in detail fully under the intermediate session, okay? When you're doing intermediate level. But today, we are just picking one of them. We use color scales. So I'll simply pick one of the colors, this one. So here, what we see is that the highest figure has the darkest color, followed by the next highest figure, and so on. So just by the intensity of the color, you know whether it's the highest figure and or not, or the lowest figure. Now, and I have used a random function to formulate the figures. The assumption is that these figures are updated regularly. And so as the figures change, you want to know which one is the current highest figure followed by the next highest figure, and so on. So I'll simply activate a cell for the figures to change again. So assuming I activate this cell and enter, notice the figures have changed. And now the highest figure is now 197,606. If I activate again and I enter, the figures have changed again, and now the highest figure is 174,781. Okay, as I said, conditional formatting is dealt fully when you do the intermediate level of this course. Now let's move on to the next sheet to look at the average function. The average function can also be done the same way as we did the sum function. So if you want to find out average of these figures, you simply select where the average should be in, and under the AutoSum in the editing group where we found the AutoSum, under the Home tab, in the editing group where we found the AutoSum, to the right hand side of AutoSum, you see an arrow. And these are all the other functions, including more functions. It means all other functions can be found right here. Now, so if we want average, we select average. Now, if the range is correct, we enter to accept it. So this is the average 39.1. Now, when it comes to averages, a 0 is not the same as a blank cell. Let's assume that when capturing this data, there was no figure for Thomas Brown. Now, if instead of putting in 0, we rather kept it blank, then we'll have this average, okay, which is 42. However, if instead of a blank cell, we put in 0 for Thomas Brown, then this will be the average, which is the correct average. So when it comes to averaging figures, please note that a blank cell is not the same as a cell with 0. If there's no figure for an item, put in 0, don't leave it blank, so you get the correct average. Let's move on to max function. We also find ourselves having to find out the highest figure, lowest figure, etc. from a database, okay, where the data keep changing regularly. You want to know at any point in time what is the current highest figure. Now, and what people do is that they normally will sort the figure, and the one at the top, they will say that's the highest, and so on, which means you always have to be sorting before you know your current highest figure. To avoid that, you simply select a particular cell where you want the highest figure to always appear. So let's say this cell. And still under the auto sum, we will see a function called max. To select it, if the range is correct, we enter to accept it. So now this is the highest figure. If the figures change, and for example, this figure becomes 98, for example, then that becomes the current highest figure, right? Now, I'm sure you can easily do this one. It's the same process for minimum, the lowest figure. So right here, still under the auto sum, we select minimum. If the range is correct, we enter to accept it. We enter to accept it. Now let's look at the count function. Now, we also find ourselves having to count the occurrence of events. Okay, for example, in this case, this is a register that has been marked, and you are required to simply indicate the total number present, total number absent. So we use a function called count. So in this cell, still under the auto sum, we will see count numbers. If you select it, yes, this time around the range is not correct. That means that always you have to know the range you want to use. And if it's not correct, you select a correct range. Because of the blank cell for Carter short, it couldn't go up to start from the top. So with the mouse, we select from Charlie Kent down to the last name. And we enter. And we get the result we want. Okay. Now, to do it for not present or for absent, we can drag this. When we drag it, the formula comes. Okay. Now, alternatively, I could use a shortcut. Instead of dragging, I'd rather do Control R, meaning copy to the right, copy to the right, copy to the right. Now, in the same way, if I had entered some information here, okay, enter some information here in a particular row, and then I go to the next row to continue my inputting. But when I go to this cell, I wanted to repeat what is right above the cell in which I am. So instead of typing it again, I can do Control D, meaning copy down, okay? Copy down. Now, these shortcuts will help you to work smarter using Excel, okay? And there's a page of shortcuts that we make available to you once you enroll on this program. All right. Now, let's assume that after you are done with this report, your boss tells you that he or she doesn't want you to use numbers to mark a register, but you should use X instead of ones to mark it. So you are required to replace all the ones with X. Now, to do this manually can be a very tedious task. However, there's a way out. There's a tool called Find that we can use. The shortcut is Control F. So right in this, let's do Control F. Basically, I want to find all the ones and replace with X. So let's put in 1. Now, let's assume that we are not replacing the ones yet. We won't just check where the ones are, and then afterwards we'll do the replacement. So let's go to step by step. So we go step by step. So find the next. This is at Carpenter. Find next Felix Davis. Next, 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 next. This is the last name, Valentine. Now, I don't expect it to go down when I do next again, but let's check what happens. If I do next again, it has gone to the total, which is 11. Even though it's displaying 2 ones, it is actually 11, not 1 1. It has gone there because of the 1 in the formula. If you look in the formula bar, the formula contains C17. 17 is actually 1 7. So it means if we are to do a replacement, it will replace the 1 in the 17 with X and will destroy the formula. Now, what this teaches us is that when it comes to find and replacing, the scope is very important. Now, if you select a single cell and you do Control F, then the scope is in as the whole sheet. So that if you didn't intend to replace something, it will replace it anyway, and getting it back the same way can be difficult. However, if you select more than one cell, okay, either a column, a range, or a whole table, and you do your Control F, it means the scope is restricted to the selected area, okay, which is safer, right? So we'll do it that way. So in our case, we'll select the area, okay, where we want to do the finding and replacing of the ones with X, excluding the total line, and then we'll do the Control F. So now the 1 is already in there, okay? So we click on replace and we put in here X, replace with X. Since we are replacing all, we click on replace all. So immediately it has done 14 replacements. So we click OK to accept it. We click OK to accept it. And then we close the dialog box. We click on close. All right. Having done this, notice that it is not able to count again. The reason is that the count function we used earlier counts only numbers. So when it comes to Excel, you simply look for another solution. Okay, check whether there's another function that will work. Even if there are no other functions, by combining 1 or 2 functions, you may get a solution. There is always a solution unless you don't look for it in Excel. So we look for another count function. And as we know, we start with an equal sign. So we type equal sign. And the keyword is count. So we type the word count. Now, so from a drop down, we can just go through one by one. The first one is what we used earlier and counts only numbers, and it's not working now. So with the arrow key, we go now 1 step, and this is counter. It says counts the number of cells in a range that are not empty. So what it means is that whether it is a number or not a number, so long as it's not empty, it will count, which is very good, and I'm sure it will work for us. So to pick it up, we double click. Now, so we just have to select the range. So with the mouse, we capture the range and we enter. And it says it's 11. Good. And so for absent, we can simply go there and do Control R, and we know those who were absent, the number that was absent. Now, the same counter function, it's a very good function. However, you have to be careful because it counts anything. Assuming that in making the changes from 1 to X, I mistakenly press the space bar, okay, for David under absent this way. Now, a space is a character. So immediately it tells me the count is 4. Okay. Now, how do we deal with this? We can use the same find tool. We can highlight the area where we select the problem to be coming from and do the Control find again, Control F. This time we are looking for space. So I take off the 1 and I press the space bar. Okay. And then we replace with nothing. So I take off the S with nothing. In effect, we are deleting. That is one very effective way to delete an item throughout a whole worksheet or from an area. You select the item and replace it with nothing. And so we say replace all. It has done one replacement. We click OK to accept it, and we close the dialog box. And it has also corrected the results for us. The results for us. Good. Now let's move on to the if function. The if function. The if function, for me, having taught Excel for almost 20 years, is the mother of all functions. It's a very important tool, and yet a very simple tool to understand and use. So we teach it from the very first session when you enroll on our program. Now, so let's explain it from a layman's point of view. Let's say that there is a second room from where we are, and in that room, you left your Excel textbook on a table in that room. So you are asking a colleague or any person, the person whoever is with you at the moment, to go there and bring the book to you. So you make a clear statement. You simply say your Excel textbook is on the table in the next room. That statement you make or you made can be true or false. It is a test statement because it's possible the person will go and the book is not there. It's very possible. Now, so any statement that you make that can be true or false, it's a test statement. It is called logical test. It is called a logical test. Now, if the person goes and the book is there, you may say, if it's there, bring it to me. Now, the statement bring it to me is called value if true. That is what the person is supposed to do if it is true. The person goes and the book is not there, you may say he or she should pull the drawer and check from the drawer. Now, the alternative action to be taken if the book is not there is called value if false. Value if false. So there are three requirements of the if function. You have a test statement called logical test, value if it is true, value if it is false. A logical test, value if it is true, and value if it is false. So let's apply it to what we have at the moment. Now, so let's say we have these students we examined, and in mathematics is history, English, history, geography, and this is their average grades. Okay, if you double click, it is averaging the grades. Now, we are required to indicate whether they have passed or failed, just that. And the scheme says to pass, a student needs an average grade of over 70. It means even if you get 70, you don't pass. You need to get above 70. So it means that we need to make a test statement about each of the grades. Okay, so that if the person gets above 70, the person passes. Otherwise, the person fails. So we can make either of two test statements, let's say about the first grade, for example. Now we can say that cell F6, which is the grade for Robert Gardner, we can say cell F6 is greater than 70. If it is true, then Robert Gardner has passed. If it is false, then Robert Gardner has failed. Okay. We can also say that cell F6 is less than or equal to 70. In this case, if it is true, Robert Gardner has failed. If it is false, Robert Gardner has passed. So let's put it in here now. So we type equal sign and you type the if function. So once you see the if in the drop down, you double click on it. So the if will open its bracket and is requesting for the requirements. Okay. So the test. So we are saying F6 is greater than 70. Now this is a statement. So if you're reading it, you are saying if F6 is greater than 70. Now, the next word that follows is a word then, and that is the first comma, the if function. So now, if at the top here we are saying 1 is for pass and 0 for fail. So we say then 1. Now the next word that follows again is the word otherwise, and that is the second comma. Second comma means otherwise. The first one means then, second comma means otherwise. So otherwise, 0 for fail. So we are saying that if F6 is greater than 70, then 1 for pass, otherwise 0 for fail. And we enter, and when we drag it down, we know those who passed and those who failed. Now, assuming that you wanted also to have another column that indicates the word passed and the word fails, not 1 or 0, then we can redo the if function again here. So equal sign, type the if, Then we double click on the if to open its bracket. So we start. We are saying if F6 is greater than 70, then, now in this case, we want to put the word pass. Now, anytime you want Excel to place a value in a cell, which is not a number and it's not a formula, it is not a number, it's not a formula, put it in inverted commas. Put it in inverted commas. So inverted commas open, and then passed, inverted commas close. Otherwise, inverted commas open again, failed. Okay? Inverted commas closed. And we enter. So we are saying if F6 is greater than 70, then passed, otherwise failed. Right. So we can drag it down again, and we have the results for these ones also. Now this is quite good, very good. Now let's move on to, there's another sheet where we do the if again using another logical test. Now let's assume that the chief examiner says that the scheme is too high. So this time they are including 70 as a pass mark. So now if you get 70, you pass. Previously, if you don't get 70, you don't pass. That is previously if you get 70, you'll still fail. You should get above 70. Okay. Now, so we have put in here the real inequality symbols. Okay. For example, if you want to indicate greater than, this is the greater than sign, which I believe we all know. Now, if you want to say greater than or equal to, you type greater than sign and type equal sign. This means greater than or equal to. Now, this is less than sign, which I believe we all know. If you want to say less than or equal to, you have to bring in the less than sign and the equal signs together. It means not equal to. It's not the same way that we learned in school. Okay. If you want to say not equal to, it is the less than sign and the greater than sign together means not equal to. Because you cannot say a particular cell is less than a certain figure and the same cell is greater than the same figure. It means it is not equal to that figure. It is not equal to that figure. All right. So we are going to use this greater than or equal to do a new logical test for the if function. So let's start again. So we type an equal sign, then the if function. So we are saying if, double click on if. So we are saying if F6, this time if it's greater than or equal to 70, then 1 for pass, otherwise 0 for fail. And we enter and we have it this way. So when you drag it down, we know those who pass and those who fail. To do it for this one, to indicate the word pass or failed, we start again. So equal sign if. So double click on the if. If F6 is greater than or equal to 70, then in inverted commas, passed. Otherwise, in inverted commas, failed. Okay, and we enter and we have the result this way. So we can drag it down and we get it for this one. Now, if we are to test whether this is working, we can change one of the grades. So let's say if Robert Gardner, I'll make his grade 84. I have tested it, so I know he will get 70 if I do it that way. So 84 is for mathematics, okay? And if I enter, he now gets 70 as average grade and therefore has passed, so it is working. Now, one thing you may also want to know is you want to know how many students passed and how many failed. So we can put that in this cell. We've put the word pass and failed here. So basically we are saying we want the function here to count this word from this range. The same applies to this one. The function he will put here to count this word failed from this range. So since we've mentioned count, the keyword should be count. So we type equal sign and put in the word count. Now we have already seen count. This counts numbers only. We've seen counter, counts cells that are not empty. Count blank, as the name implies, count blank cells. That's not what we want. The next one is count if. It's a conditional count. It says count the number of cells within a range that meet a given condition. Our condition is the word pass. So we can try it. So double click on it. it requires just a range and a criteria. So the range we are counting from. So that is the range. We pick it up, and then our comma. The next requirement is that the criteria, what it is counting. What it is counting. It is counting the word part, and it is cell B1. So we select it and we click OK. All right, so the count is 7. Now, in order to deepen the understanding, I'll not drag it. In fact, if I have to drag, I have to freeze certain references. I don't want to do that now. So I'll redo it for field. So equal sign and count. So I double click on count if. The range I'm counting from is this range. Okay, right, comma. And what I'm counting is the word field. If I enter, I see the count as 3. The count as 3. Now then also, naturally, you may want to arrange them according to positions, first, second, third, fourth, and so on. You want to rank them. And so, having mentioned rank, we can look for a function called rank. We can check if there's a function like that and read about it. And the one that will work for us, we'll use it. So right in this cell, we type equal sign and type the word rank. So we see rank average, rank equal. Now rank average will average positions where there is a draw, where 2 or 3 people draw to average their positions, which is not what we want. This is rank equal, which will not do that. So we'll pick that one. So I double click on it. It requires the number I'm ranking and the range, the reference, with reference to a particular range. So ranking reference to a particular range. Now the order simply means whether we want the first person to have 1 or the first person to have the largest number. Okay, and in our case, we want the first person should have 1, second person 2, and so on. That's what we want. So when we get there, we'll choose that particular option. So the number we are ranking, it is this number. So comma comes. Now the reference, with reference to this range. And note that this reference should be the same for all the numbers we are going to rank, and therefore it has to be fixed. Now we fix references with the $sign. It's a whole course session topic we do in the other sessions. Okay, once you enroll, you will do that. But for now, I'll use a shortcut to put the $signs there, and it is F4. So F4 has the $sign for all the references in this range, making it a fixed reference. Okay. Now, so I bring my comma. The next requirement, which is optional, but for our purposes, I'll just choose it. So we want to choose this one, which will start from 1, 2, 3, and so on, descending. So I double click on it and I enter. So now it tells me Robert Gardner is the 7th person. If I drag it down, I know those person was first, second, third, and so on and so forth. Now, one thing also that we may want to sort this data, because I don't think you want the first to be here. You want the first to be at the top. Now, to sort data, you simply select a single cell in the column by which you are sorting. To sort data, simply select a single cell in the column by which you are sorting. Over the years, I've discovered what most people do, over 90%. When they want to sort data, they either select a column or even they select the whole table. What it means is that if you do that, then you are compelled to use a wrong tool. I'll put it that way. Okay, because if you want to sort by just one column, you are supposed to use this AZ or ZA, which is simple sorting. Okay, but because most people select wrongly, they are compelled to use this, and so they go through a number of steps before they are able to do simple sorting. Now we teach you how to build a database in Excel. There are some guidelines which, when you follow them, then when it comes to sorting by just one column, you only need to select a single cell, as I'm doing now. And then under the data tab, I use just this one, not this. This for custom sort. So I click on this and it has sorted for me. So when you enroll, you'll be taught how to build a database and how to sort professionally. Now, let's move on to the next sheet where we'll look at building a database, okay, and then formatting it with a table tool. Then we also do a dashboard out of it. okay, a dashboard out of it. That will be just a glimpse of the dashboard course that when you enroll, you can actually take part in. All right. So now we have this database. Let's say these are items you sell, indicated by their colors. So white, blue, green, red. So these are the date of the transactions. And on this day, these are the amount sold. Okay. And in this column, we want to have the average sales below the figures. The same as this one, we want the maximum sales below the figures, and here we want the minimum. So here we want the sum, the count, average, maximum, and minimum under the figures. So we are going to repeat the figures in all the columns by just linking. Now, linking is just a simple thing. It simply means equating two cells, whether those cells are in the same sheet, in different sheets, or in different books. It's always linking two cells, equating two cells. Okay. In this session, we'll be doing linking between two cells, okay, in the same sheet and also in different sheets. This one we are doing now is in the same sheet. So I type equal sign and I click on this cell. I've linked to it. I enter, the same thing has appeared here. If I want to drag, I can just attempt to drag and double click it to drag up to where these figures end. The same as here, we type equal sign, we link it to this one, we enter, and if we want to drag, we double click to go down. If you remember Control R, I can simply do here Control R, copy to the right, and then also attempt to drag, double click, and it goes down. And it goes down. So now the next aim is I want to have the count, the sum, the average, the max, and minimum under the figures. But we are not going to use what we used earlier where we went for the sum function, the average function, and so on. We are going to use a tool called table to format the whole database. And then the table will automatically give us the opportunity to just select whether we want sum, average, max, and so on at the bottom. All right. Now to bring in the table tool, we get it under the Insert tab, okay? So let's click on Insert. Okay, Insert. Now, so under Insert, we see here pivot table and table. Now, we just want to use table for now. We'll do pivot tables at the advanced level and the dashboard level under this course, okay? Now, for today, we are just taking table. So we click on table. Now, and we simply click OK. Now, so table has formatted our database for us, and it has placed tools at the top. Okay, and even you can see the filters here that we can use to filter information we want. Now, from the very right side, we can choose a different style if we don't want the style that's used. So I'm going to use a white and light blue color. Good. Then if you go further, the next group, it says table style options. You can see all kinds of options. One of them is total row. If I want a total row, I'll simply check this box. And immediately, I have my first total. So we click on it. We click on it, you see there's a drop-down arrow to the right. It means there are more options. So we click on it to see the options available. We see we have average, count, all the functions are there. Now, under this column, we know we want minimum. So we choose minimum. Okay, choose minimum. Then we go to the next one. Under this column, we want maximum. So we choose maximum. Then, under this column, we want average. So we choose the average. Under this column, we want sum. So this time we choose the sum. Then under this column, we want to count the item. So we simply choose count, not count numbers, because these are not numbers. So we choose count. So this is good. And let's see how we can get reports out of this. So we go to the top, scroll to the top. Now, assuming you want a report for just blue items, you simply filter here. You deselect this, click on, select blue, and this is your blue report. This is your blue report. If you want a report for white, you go there, you deselect blue, you select white, you click, and this is your white report. Now, this report is still detailed because you are seeing all the details and the results. I believe what management really wants is that they want the items, their labels, and the results for a particular item. So, for example, if they say they want blue, they want to see the items, okay, the labels, and the results for each one of them. And in effect, I'm talking about building a dashboard. You don't have to see the whole database, okay, to get your results out of it. Your database could be separated from a separate from a new sheet, what we call dashboard, where the results appear. When we select white, the results appear. Then when we select blue, it appears there. So we want to create a dashboard out of this. All right. So let's clear the filter. So we come here and we say clear filter from item. Now, to be able to do what I've just mentioned, a dashboard, and make it interactive, we will need another type of filter, which is a visual form of filter. Unfortunately, the table tool provides that. Now, so if you go further, we were here earlier. Go further to the left. This is external table data. Go again further. The next group is called tools. If you look up, you see this with a funnel in it. It's a type of filter. Okay, it is the visual form of the filter which we can use. So let's click on it. When we click on it, we see the various checkboxes for the, giving it options, okay? So if I just want the filter for the item, I just check only item. Let's check only item. That's what we want for now. And we click OK. So we have a visual form of filter. Now, if the space below is too big, you can close it up this way. It's an object, okay? Right. Then I can move it to the right a bit. So what this means is that if I want to filter any report, I simply have to click on the item I want. This is blue, green, red, white. If I want to clear all, I clear all. Okay, so it means that we have all we need to do our dashboard. We need the labels, the total line, and this object, this visual filter. So let's select the item labels, excluding the date, just from item. We copy it, and we take it into this sheet we've named dashboard and paste it here. We paste it here. Okay, paste it here. Now, the next thing we want is we want the totals to come here. Okay, and I mentioned we will do linking. We've done linking between link cells within the same sheet. Now, this is between two sheets. Okay, linking cells between two sheets. So we type equal sign here. Want to link to the item count, and it is in the total. It's in the table sheet. We go to the table sheet. We scroll down to where the total can be found. Okay, if you go down further, you see there is this one. So we simply click on it, and by this we have linked to it, and we enter. Now for the others, because they are on the same row with this one, okay, and they follow each other, I can just drag this. I select it and I drag it, and it will capture the rest. So we have linked. It's quite straightforward. Now, so to make this report interactive, okay, we would want to now bring the visual filter onto the dashboard sheet. So we will select it, and we are going to cut it, okay, and take it to the dashboard because we don't need it here. We are going to cut it and take it to the dashboard because we don't need it here. Now, having mentioned cut, please note that don't be cutting cells. If a cell is linked to a particular another cell or something, don't be cutting. Be very careful when you are cutting, because cutting can create reference errors. Cutting cells can create reference errors. However, if it's an object, okay, you can cut it like this one. So I'm going to cut it, Control X. Then we go to the dashboard, and we are going to paste it right here. So Control V. So we have it pasted here. Okay. So now, if I want a result for blue, if I just check, this is blue, this is green, this is red, this is white. If I want everything back, I clear. If I want to do multi-selection, I use this tool. If you click on this tool, it will put it in a multi-select mode. So I click on this tool, it says multi-select. So if I want to select only blue and red, I'll deselect green and deselect white. Okay, if I want everything back, I clear. Now, if I want to go out of the multi-select mode, you click on this tool in between again, and you are now in the normal mode, so you can get individual ones, blue, red, green, red, white, and you can clear. So this is a dashboard, okay? And I know for some of you watching, what we have done could cover your whole schedule, okay? You have a database you build, and periodically have to provide this information, okay? And you can do a dashboard out of it, okay? And for presentation purposes or for reporting to management, okay? However, dashboard, there's more to it, okay? Which when you enroll, okay, you really be equipped to do very, very, very powerful dashboards, okay? Now, assuming you just want your sheet to be plain, have a plain background, okay? As you can see, there are grid lines here. You can just go to view. In the show group, you just uncheck the grid lines. Immediately you have a plain background. Okay, a plain background. You notice that on every page, almost every there's information that you can use to contact us. Okay. Now, so feel free, if you really want to be equipped with this tool called Excel, contact us. Now, for further information on how to participate in the daily live online interactive hands-on applied Excel training sessions, you can call or WhatsApp, okay, this number, okay, which is 0244377102, or send an email to steven@ecsghana.com, okay? Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you soon online.